So for those of you who have not met them yet, these are our family's cats. The gray one is Josephine, and the tuxedo is Simone.
And the names are?
Josephine is the gray one, and Simone is the tuxedo. So, for those of you who live with cats, how many of you have cats? Show of hands. Cats. Okay, allergic, but okay, that's all right. Dogs? Ferrets? Oh, I shouldn't let anybody get picked up for
ferret, right?
Ferret, yeah.
Yeah.
It's illegal? Don't admit you have a ferret if you have a ferret. We don't want you to get arrested. So for those of you with cats, show of hands again, how many of you ever feel your cat is talking to you? Yes? Yeah? And you can kind of tell the different kinds of, Meredith, very strong hand raise. You can tell the kinds of things that they want, and you can sort of understand them a little bit. So there's like a certain meow at like 5:20 in the morning when they're hungry, you forgot to feed them. And there's a very different one when it's evening time and you forgot to feed them. Or another one if they want to go outside or come in. And if a lizard gets in the house, God help you. It's really a whole thing. But here's the interesting thing. In the wild, cats don't meow at one another. This is a behavior they picked up in order to communicate with us humans over time. So over thousands of years, as they've been domesticated, they picked up on our gestures and our speech pattern and our tone, and they've adjusted their patterns to mimic our patterns. And in addition to their regular meows that they do so we can understand them, they have mimicked. You've ever noticed a cat crying for food sounds a little like a baby crying for food? That's on purpose. Cats have learned to mimic hungry babies because they learned over thousands of years that gets them food. So learning this led me to a question that's not just specifically about cats, which is what if we took animals seriously as communicators? What if we didn't treat them as dumb, lesser creatures, but we treated them as differently languaged? And if we listened to them in the way that we listen to someone who speaks our language with an accent, or who doesn't speak using words at all. If we don't listen to animals, we miss things. Animals can tell us, science can back this up, animals can detect danger. They can detect earthquakes before they strike a little bit. You can see the birds will start flying away before an earthquake. They can detect polluted water. They can even tell when humans are lying. But if we listen for human words and human syntax, we might miss what the animals are trying to tell us. So this week's Parsha, which we learned earlier, was, who was paying attention? Balak. Hey, you're paying attention. Excellent. Oh, it's behind me. You're cheating. It gives an example the Torah shows us of when wisdom comes out of the most unexpected mouths. In the Parsha, the prophet wizard Balaam, who I mentioned earlier in the service, is riding on his way to curse the Israelites, which is what he's been hired to do, which is what, if you're a wandering wizard, you get hired, I guess, to curse people. And he's riding along on his donkey. Could I get the next slide, please? So Balaam is riding along on his donkey, and this is not just any donkey. He's had this donkey a really long time. They know each other. She's steady and reliable, and suddenly she starts acting up. The text tells us that God places an angel with a sword in the way, and the donkey first swerves out of the way to avoid the angel, saving Balaam from being attacked by the angel. The donkey goes into the field. Balaam gets really mad, and he beats the donkey. Then, it's not very nice. Then, a second time, the donkey is going along again. There's an angel again. The donkey, this time, it's in a narrow part of the path. the donkey presses up against the side of the path and hurts Balaam's foot. And Balaam again beats the donkey. Third time's a charm. Angel appears, donkey sits down, decides not having any of it, and Balaam beats the donkey. But the donkey is not a disposable narrative device. She's trying to protect Balaam. She can see what he can't. Now, we know from modern science that donkeys are pretty smart. There was a study that came out in Applied Animal Behavior Science in 2021 that did it was a meta-study of 75 studies of donkeys, and it concluded that donkeys can communicate non-verbally. They have remarkable nuance when they do this. It's their ear position, their posture, even the unique qualities of their bray, their hee-haw. So by doing this, they can identify other donkeys, individual other donkeys, after long absences. They can solve complex problems, and they can detect and respond to human emotions. In other words, the donkey knew exactly what she was doing. In our text, when the donkey finally and miraculously speaks, in clear biblical Hebrew, by the way, it doesn't curse Balaam or say, it's not really that mad. It says very plainly, what have I done wrong that you hit me those 3 times? And Balaam, apparently unfazed by his talking donkey, said, and he's still so wrapped up in his frustration of not getting where he's going, that he argues with the talking donkey as if this is a totally normal scene. Totally, absolutely fine. Only after the verbal exchange with the donkey does Balaam's perception expand, and he is allowed to see the angel with the sword that was blocking his path. And then he realizes, and only then, that the donkey had been trying to save his life the whole time. It was trying to message him about forthcoming danger that he, as a human, refused to see. Our tradition, by the way, doesn't treat this. This is not the only donkey that teaches a lesson in our tradition. Pirkei Avot, can I get the next slide, please? Pirkei Avot tells us about that this donkey, Balaam's donkey, is a very unique donkey. It was created by God personally, specially, on the sixth day of creation. And this talking donkey was apparently part of the divine plan. And since it's in the Torah, and our tradition tells us it's a divine plan, it teaches us we're to take talking animals really seriously. We're to watch animals and learn from them. In addition to this particularly high-achieving and divinely favored donkey, there's another donkey story I'd like to talk to you about, which is Midrash on Avot, called Avot de Rabbi Natan, in which it talks about the donkey of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. A not quite as famous, but still famous donkey. One day, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa's donkey was stolen by donkey thieves. Donkey thieves. Like horse thieves, but donkey specializing in donkey theft. And the thieves tried to keep it, and they tried to feed it, and no matter what they tried to feed it, the donkey would not eat. Next slide, please. The donkey had learned from Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa that food needed to be tithed according to religious law, and the donkey was aware by watching the thieves that they did not obey this mitzvah. They did not tithe the food, and so the donkey refused to eat. And it got a little bit famished and angry looking, and eventually the thieves gave up and they let it go. And what does a donkey do when it's let loose by thieves, by kidnapping donkey thieves? It goes home, obviously. So it went home and it got to the door, and when it got to the door, which I imagine is one of those like farmhouse doors with the top that's open and the bottom keeps out the chickens. Anyway, Rabbi Hanina's son saw the donkey and said, "Father, isn't that our donkey? Open the door. It must be hungry." And the story, and when the donkey came into the house to eat, it ate the tithed food of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, and it was happy, and the donkey lived happily ever after. And the story ends with the line, just as the righteous, like Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, are holy in their deeds, so too are their animals, which leads us to believe that animals learn from watching humans. And Rabbi Hanina, in this story, unlike Bilam, knew how to listen to the donkey. And he also knew, he could see the expression of the donkey, and he knew when the donkey was trying to communicate something worth listening to, which in this case was, I am hungry. We live in a world that does not often listen to the disempowered, whether that's animals, elders, children, migrants, people with disabilities, or even people that just have a different way of expressing themselves. If somebody's speech doesn't sound exactly like our speech, if their patterns of speech don't exactly follow our patterns, we dismiss it right away and label it as noise. But our Torah challenges us to hear the voice inside the donkey's bray. I'm going to bring us back to the present now. The documentarian Sir David Attenborough, how many people here know David Attenborough? He does a lot of nature programs. He's been doing it a long time. He teaches us that global wildlife populations have dropped 70% since the year he was born in 1926. Ecosystems are collapsing all around us, not because the animals don't speak, it's just that we don't take the time to listen to them. The animal kingdom has been trying to tell us something. Migration patterns are changing. Nesting seasons are off. Bees are vanishing. Coral is bleaching. And elephants are grieving for their dead. The earth is not silent. Next slide, please. The earth is not silent, exactly as this book attempted to tell us some decades ago. It's actually screaming. It's screaming in the language of insects, in the behaviors of animals, in their refusals, and in their disappearances. And this book, Silent Spring, suggested that it was in fact the silence that we would one day face that would be the deepest tragedy of all. So I want us to imagine tonight, what if our policymakers, when they were deciding to sell off nature preserves, had to consult the animals whose homes they were destroying? What if a child's fascination with a backyard lizard was viewed as a spiritual insight instead of an icky creature from which they needed to wash their hands? And what if we understood that the voice of a creature isn't only the thing coming out of its mouth? Next slide, please. Bilam missed the message until it was spoken in words that he could understand. Let's not wait that long. May we become people who listen to animals, to our earth, and to the disempowered among us, even when it's difficult, even when it's unfamiliar. Because listening, real listening, is the beginning of compassion, and compassion is where holiness dwells. Shabbat Shalom.